As a content creator, do you get frustrated with the quality of your videos? I mean, if you're like me, you might be tempted to buy a new camera to make your videos look better. But don't. At least, don't do that until you've looked into a far cheaper option for improving your video quality. One cheap way to improve the quality of your content, at least cheaper than buying a new camera, is by upgrading your lighting. Your viewers expect good lighting, and they notice when you get it wrong. And the good news is that upgrading your lighting is way cheaper than buying a new camera and way more noticeable as well. And in a moment, I'm gonna share with you an inexpensive, simple way to upgrade your lighting, and I'll also throw in some lighting tips that'll help you no matter what lighting you're using. Hey, it's Matt Haynes, and I am really glad you're here because my goal is to help content creators just like you. So after you've watched this video, would you let me know in the comments if this was helpful to you? And if it wasn't, will you let me know how I screwed up? This here is the Joby BMO Studio Deluxe kit. Now, Joby sent it to me recently, but I'm under no obligation to review it, and no one's paying me to say anything nice about it. So in this video, I'm also going to give you some lighting tips to help you improve the look of your video. So even if you're not in the market for a lighting kit right now, you might learn something cool. And okay, I'm gonna do something a little ridiculous with this light as well. Joby has obviously aimed this at a particular type of content creator in a particular type of environment. So in a little bit, let's see if we can use it somewhere that maybe Joby never intended. So what do you get with the BMO Studio kit? Well, you get two lights. One is the main light here, which consists of a white disc of light that's about, I don't know, 8.5 inches in diameter, something like that. And Joby has done a good job of making the light very even across the whole surface. And you can adjust the brightness in 10 steps, and you can also switch between daylight, tungsten, and a color temperature that's somewhere in between those two. Now, the main light is meant to sit on a desk or a table like this, and the height can be adjusted between like 27 and 37 inches high, I think. And the stand is metal, and it feels really sturdy, and the base is weighted too, so that it's not gonna like tip over or anything like that. In fact, the whole kit feels really solid and well put together. And this is a relief because I've had a few lighting kits come my way lately that were really cheaply made, and the Joby does not suffer from this problem. See this thing here? This is like a flexible arm that resembles one of Joby's GorillaPod tripod leg thingies, and you can attach a phone holder to this, which Joby includes, or you can attach a small camera instead, and you can adjust the height of your camera independently from the height of the light itself. And you also get a background light in this kit, and this is the background light down here, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But I should point out that both of these lights are powered by USB cables. The kit does not come with any AC adapters, and they are not powered by built-in batteries. So you'll need to either find some AC adapters laying around, or you could potentially, I don't know, power these off your computer's USB ports. So you're probably wanting to see this lighting in action, right? But here's the thing. The Joby system is aimed at like the beginning or the intermediate content creator, someone who's making content in their kitchen or their desk or their family room or something like that, somewhere in their home. It's not designed to light up a professional YouTube studio. So this is not the right environment for this. We need to take this somewhere more casual. So I borrowed my wife's office for this, which I think is a more typical location for a light like the Joby. And here's a quick lighting tip. You want to set the light so that it's at least as high as your face and preferably higher. Basically anything from level to your face to about 45 degrees up. Anything higher than that is going to put some unpleasant shadows on your face. Also, you can have it directly in front of you or to either side, but don't have it more than 45 degrees to either the left or the right. The more the light is directly in front of you, the fewer the shadows are going to fall on your face. In fact, that's why people use ring lights, to get rid of shadows. And if you're using your phone in vertical mode with a Joby, you can actually get a pretty good approximation of a ring light by positioning the camera right in front of the light. However, shadows are actually useful because they create a sense of depth and dimension. You'll notice that I got shadow, like a loop lighting this is called. There's a little loop shadow right here under my nose. And that just makes my face seem a little bit more 3D and less flat. So unless you know you need flat shadow-free lighting, I recommend putting your light up a little higher, and it would be nice to have it off to the side. Now, one nice thing about the Joby is that when you elevate the light, you can tilt it down towards you so that you don't lose too much brightness. I mentioned earlier that you can adjust the camera height independently of the light, which is great. However, because the camera mount is attached to the light stand, you can't move the camera to the left very much, if at all. You're just using the little GorillaPod leg there. So if you're looking for a little more depth in your lighting, consider using a separate tripod for your camera, which is what I'm doing right now. I've got the camera on a tripod, and I've got the light maybe 30 degrees off to the side on its own stand. So that's going to allow you to position both your camera and light separately. So the phone holder, which I'm obviously not using right now because I'm using a camera, it has an accessory shoe mount right on top, which is pretty convenient for adding like a microphone or a light or something like that. Also, the light itself has 3 accessory shoe mounts around the rim, and I'm not 100% sure what you'd use these for, since most people will want their microphones closer to the camera, but hey, they're there if you need them. I gotta be honest here, the Joby isn't doing all of the lighting in this room. I've also got the overhead room lights turned on, which I think is the way most people will use this light. And since the overhead lights in this case have a very warm color, what the pros call tungsten, I've adjusted the Joby to match the overhead light color. I can't change the color of the overheads, but I can change the color of the Joby, so I get those two to match. And then I adjust the camera's white balance to tungsten, which makes everything look pretty normal. All right, so let's talk about the background light, which I've got right here. Let me pick a color. All right, we'll go like there. Okay. So it's a pretty tiny light, but it also appears pretty bright, at least if you hold it up to your eyes. It will hurt your eyes if you stare at it too long. And so the idea, I assume, in this light is to throw out a little splash of color on your background. And I do mean color. You get 12 different color choices for the background light, and you can adjust the brightness as well. What you don't get, though, is white light. And I find this a little puzzling because it means you can only use this as a special effect. You couldn't, for example, use this as a rim light or a hair light on your subject. Now, you can use the included little stand for the background light. You can also flip it upside down, and it's got a 1/4-20, so you can mount it on a tripod if you wanted to instead. All right, let's pick another color here. All right, let's go with that. All right, so the background light is not going to blast your wall with these bright, bold colors. It's just not that powerful. You really need studio lighting for that. This is meant to be like a little splash of light. Now, Joby is aiming this at indoor content creators who are filming on a table or a desk like what I'm doing right here, but I'm feeling like we should take this light somewhere it wasn't supposed to go. Let's go see if Finn can give us a hand. Hey, Finn.
Yeah?
Can you help me with something?
What is that?
That's a light. That's what I need help with.
That's a light?
Yeah, let's go. How about over there? Yeah. Or right here. Actually. Ooh, watch your step. This does not look silly at all.
There's that. Two guys walking around with a giant light in one hand.
So Joby did not intend this light to be used outdoors, but you can hook it up to, like charging bricks, like you might charge up your phone with, and it works perfectly well. And though it's not meant to be outdoors, you could take it with you traveling. I mean, you could undo the stand and you unscrew everything and pack it up into a small suitcase or a case, and then you could travel with it, and it would be perfect in hotel rooms or things like that. So it's a shame it doesn't come with the case, but I don't think Joby meant this to be a travel light or anything like that. But what are you doing? That is not how you use a background light. So I have a couple of tips for you, especially when you're filming in a stationary location, you're sitting, you're not moving much, and your light's not moving much. You actually want to lock your exposure. And I know that sounds sort of backwards, like nothing's changing. Why do you need to lock it? It's because sometimes your camera will actually lock onto the background or something like that, and it will change the exposure, and it actually makes it harder to edit because they don't match up if you're cutting from the beginning and from the middle and things like that. So lock your exposure. And another tip too, if you're wearing a hat, you don't want to have your light too high. Basically, your eyes need to be able to see the light. If it's too high and you have a brim, then your eyes are shadowy and it's not as good. Yes, I am using a men's bathroom as the background, but it's to show you something. Now, when you're dealing with outdoor lights at night, you have a lot of different colors, not just tungsten and white, daylight, but you get all sorts of weird colors. But we can adjust this light to some degree to kind of match. So what I'm going to do, that light back there in in the bathroom is very tungsteny, very warm yellow, and what's coming out of the Joby right now is daylight. So let's just change that. That's half tungsten. This is full tungsten. And now I've adjusted the camera's white balance to be tungsten as well. So the light on my face is more natural, is more white, and so is the light coming from the bathroom. So the Joby BMO Studio Deluxe kit is pretty solid all around. However, there are some issues or little details that you might want to consider before you buy it. So let's head back to the studio and we can talk about that. So when I'm evaluating the Joby BMO Studio Deluxe kit, I think I got that name right, I got to keep two things in mind. First of all, it's not aimed at professional YouTubers. It's not aimed at professional studio users. It's aimed at like beginning and intermediate content creators, which is great, which is fine. And also, it's under $100. However, I do have some issues, and if you watch my videos, for some reason I always have issues. And my first issue is with the background light. Why didn't Joby include the option for white and tungsten light colors? I seriously doubt there are technical reasons for this, since Joby is using RGB LEDs and can make any color they want. I think the background light would be more useful if I could position it like as a hair light, or even use it as a fill light. I don't know if you notice it, but I've got a hair light positioned up there on the back wall. You can't see it, but maybe you can see it on my hair. It'd be nice if we could use this as something like that, as a hair light, but that requires white light. Also, these lights are not battery powered. However, I mean, that could be either good or bad depending on your philosophy. There's certainly a trend these days to put lithium batteries in everything. And I mean, that's convenient because you don't have to swap out batteries and your gear is always ready to go. Except when it isn't. If you haven't charged your device, or if you use it for a long time and you wipe out the battery, you can't just pop in some fresh AA's. You have to charge it up or run it off AC power. So Joby went with an interesting alternative, which is to power these via USB. So you can plug them into AC adapters, and then you can plug them into the wall, or you could power them from your computer's USB ports, or you could, use brick batteries or that sort of thing. But as a result, you have cables that you then have to manage. And the cables are just a little too short. I mean, if you're going to plug these into the wall, the likelihood is that the cable is not going to reach without an extension cord, and that adds another potential layer of frustration. Now, that said, I mean, the light is pretty soft and even. And as long as you have it up close to your face, it's going to provide a really nice soft light. And both lights feel really sturdy and durable, and the metal stand and the base for the main light is going to hold up a long time. Joby's done a good job of making a lighting kit aimed at the desk-oriented content creator. And I could definitely see myself using this when setting up a professional lighting system is just too much of a pain. You know what's another cheap way to improve your videos that has way more impact than buying a new camera? Good audio. Remember that microphone I had attached to the light back in my wife's office? That's called the Wavo Pro, and it's another really solid product by Joby, and it's definitely worth checking out. And I did review it recently, of course, and you can see that video right here.